I've always believed that art has the power to transform, to illuminate, to educate, to inspire. And an artist is the medium. Recently, I had the good fortune to meet one such profound artist, Sacha Jafri, one of the world's leading contemporary artists and the preeminent pioneer of magical realism in art. In 2008, at the age of 27, Jafri became the youngest artist in history to be offered a museum-based 10-year retrospective world tour. He's the first artist to be featured on the front cover of both the New York Times and the Financial Times. With an array of his work featured in the museums and leading houses of modern art around the world, collectors of Jafri's work include names like Bill Gates, President Obama, President Clinton, David Beckham, Sir Richard Branson, George Clooney, Madonna, Leonardo DiCaprio, as well as the royal families of Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and many more. I caught up with this British Indian artist at his Dubai home, which is no less than a child's playhouse. Let's find out more about his colorful career, what inspires him, and how he thinks art can contribute to education in the making of a real global citizens. Sasha, so lovely to have you on my show once again.
Thank you, Ma. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Well, my first question starts with, of course, Global Education and Skills Forum. That's how you're here today.
Yeah.
And the question is associated with education. How can art become a big part of the evolution of education in today's day and age?
Art's about putting something in the world that's meaningful, poignant, inspirational, and you can't begin to create something that has that unless you yourself, the creator, is living a life of grace and understands how important the intentions of creation are. What are your intentions? Where's it coming from? And then the piece that you create will resonate something spiritual, something beautiful, and you will connect with the soul. And the issue at the moment a lot is the fact that a lot of artwork, you aim to shock. And if you shock, you get attention. And then you get the press and the coverage and whatever, and then the world are interested. But the problem is that work of art, or that moment, will be remembered maybe for a week, maybe a month, at the most 5 years. If you create something from this place of grace with these pure intentions of love and truth and kindness and humility, then that piece will enter the viewer's soul. And once it enters their soul, it will stay with them forever. And I think that's the most important thing. And that, in my mind, is the thing where art and education can work together. When that is understood, that premise. Because yes, you've got the more obvious things of art will help us to learn to be free in our souls. It will help us to express. It will help us to get out various frustrations, confusions that we have inside, and it will help that come out of us, and it will help extend our language in communicating with human beings. Yes, it will do all of that. And yes, that's a wonderful thing to promote in education. And it's a wonderful thing to bring out of children. But at the end of the day, you can't really guide and teach creation. It has to come from within. But what you can teach is what living in grace means, what intentions, pure intentions means, what it really means, and what effect it will have on everything you then create. And I think that's the key. That's the thing to hold in our mind when we're talking about art and education.
Well, I met you around 8 years back, and I see you now, and I truly see the evolution you have gone through as an artist. And what has that evolution been for you, and how did it all come about, and how that evolution reflects on your work?
It took a good 20 years of messing around and trying to paint and not understanding what the most important thing was. And I think even if you tell a 20-year-old what I'm explaining now, it's not really going to work, because you've almost got to do this journey to find it for yourself. But we still try, don't we, and sort of pass on what we've learned. I think the thing that really has changed my work hugely, interestingly, there have been some defining moments. The birth of my baby girl, certainly, but then practicing yoga has been a really big change in my life. Understanding meditation. What I've found is I've sort of learned to strip everything away, strip everything back, and try and create this expression of myself, which is a very raw expression, and it's incredibly pure. And that's taken 20 years to develop, to be able to just cut out all the constraints of human intervention.
Shed everything.
Yes, and try and get back to what it was we were given in the first place. And that is the greatest gift we were ever given, which is our childhood. But sadly, it's the first thing we're taught to forget. And the thing I found, which was amazing, which I learned through yoga actually, was you take a picture of yourself when you were 3, and you look at that picture, and you put it on your wall of your bedroom or in your bathroom. So every day you see that picture and you remind yourself, that's who I owe who I am to. That is who I'm protecting, that picture of the little 3-year-old me. That's who I am protecting, that's who all my intentions are in honor of. And it's something, it sounds so simple, but it has an amazingly profound effect, because you begin to realize everything you've become and everything, your development along the way, is it what that purity had imagined and what that purity of that child deserved. But if you stare at a blank canvas, huge white canvas, and you just sit in front of it and you stare at it, through concentration on nothing, you fall into this incredibly deep meditative state. And then what you're doing is you're painting, you're allowing your subconscious to create. If you don't spend your conscious life feeding the subconscious, what comes out is pretty boring and pretty one-dimensional and not particularly graceful or spiritual or beautiful or poignant enough, really, to call a work of art, in my mind. So I spend my conscious life meeting people, talking to people, traveling the world. And if you're feeding this and fueling this, then when the subconscious releases, it can release something special and hopefully something magical. And that can then come onto the canvas.
Basically surrendering yourself and your ego to really invite
it's releasing
that,
the ego.
Releasing it completely.
Which is hard, almost an impossible thing to do,
absolutely.
because without the ego, what is there? Do we just fall apart? So it's interesting, but I found that it's critical, and it's really important. And when you do that, really, really special things happen on canvas, and it's lovely, because you don't feel it was you that did it, and you can enjoy it as much as the viewer who's never seen it before.
Jafri was awarded Young Artist of the Year in New York for 2 consecutive years and received the UN's Art and Humanity Award in Belgrade for his artistic and humanitarian work, having raised over $40 million from the sale of his work for various charities around the globe.
Over the years, you've also won a lot of awards and accolades. What is most precious to you, and what do you think of them?
I won an award which was an amazing experience, which was an award from the UN. And it was previously won by Martin Luther King, which is pretty cool. Yeah, absolutely. Which I didn't know at the time. Yeah. But it was amazing. It was in Belgrade, and it was an award from the UN for art and humanity. Such an honor. I mean, it really was. The other awardees for other awards from the UN for different things were all in their 60s and 70s, and I was this 35-year-old. So I felt really humbled by it, but that's an amazing honor. Yeah.
And that's my next question, that you're so young and you've achieved so much in your life already. Did you ever dream of this, or it was a journey that you just followed?
I love sport, and that's always been a big passion of mine. But there was something about painting that I was very dyslexic, and I wasn't great at communicating, and painting enabled me to find my language, which enabled me to connect with the world and realize where I fit in and how I fit in. I was still young, so I didn't know how it would all evolve, but I never really thought I'd be in this, what I'm doing now and what I've done, never.
So somewhere you just had a huge belief in yourself to just keep doing.
I think maybe I did, yeah.
Or you were just following that magic that was happening every time you painted something?
I was seduced by that magic, and it made me feel something I'd never felt before. And I think the other attribute you sort of need as an artist, as we're calling us artists, is audacity, which I think it's something Pollock said. And I think it's really true. You need self-belief. At the end of the day, all we're really here for, any of us, the only thing that really means anything is love, really. And that's what we're all, that's how, the interesting thing we talk about, you know, what connects us, and, you know, we're all coming from different races and different religions and different beliefs, and, you know, there's a lot of issues in the world at the moment of segregation and separation, and a lot of hatred towards other groups of people. It's ridiculous, because the one thing that does connect us all is that all any of us are here for is to find love. And when we find it, we realize its meaning and its understanding and how important it is, and that nothing else really matters.
Jafri's career began as a teenager. As he struggled in the classroom with dyslexia, his school, Eton College, helped him channel his brilliance into art. He honed his creativity with fine arts courses at Oxford University and Goethe Institute Royal Academy. His work is not static. Each collection reflects his state of mind at the time he put paint on canvas. Today, Jafri's pieces sell between dirham 900,000 and dirham 2.7 million.
You've been associated with many humanitarian causes, and that's one of the things that really makes you very special as an artist. What really moves you, and how do you, continue to be on that path?
Well, children move me hugely. There's two sort of groups of children I've worked with a lot. Special needs children, children with autism and MS and blindness, various difficulties, dyspraxia, and, but they have something, all the other senses, and actually their heart is almost enhanced with the love they have. And it's quite amazing. It's quite an amazing thing to be with and be around. And when they paint with me, it's that real sense of purity, and there's no agenda with a child, which is great. They don't have an agenda. They're not interested in your wealth or your political position or your looks even. They're not interested in any of it. They're interested in, can I communicate with you in some way or another? Can you make me smile? Can you make me laugh? Can you make me enjoy this moment I have? Because they live in the moment. And it's so refreshing and really inspiring, especially as an artist, as a painter, because that's what we're trying to paint, that elusive moment of purity and happiness, so it comes out. So that has always inspired me and always will, and to help wherever I can with their centres around the world and with their education and with the very special help that they need. But then also with refugees and orphans, because I think, losing your parents, there's a lot more to that than one thinks. Yes, you lose your guide in life, you lose, the person that can help you through things, but that can be replaced. Another guide can come into your life and help you, but the thing that can never be replaced is that parental connection. And to lose that, it's a horrible thing to lose. But there are ways of sort of filling that gap, and I think through art, it can really help, through painting, through expressing yourself, through reconnecting with, as I've said, the soul of the earth. Because then the soul of the earth becomes your parents, that missing connection. And that's a beautiful thing if you can help a child connect with the soul. If we can shed fear, because fear is the most constrictive emotion that we have. It constricts everything. Everything is related to fear. Every other emotion is connected to fear.
Fear.
And if we can shed that, which is a very difficult thing to shed, because our inner fears are incredibly connected to our core, it's very hard. But if we can, and if we can understand how to shine our light and not be afraid of that, it allows others around us to shine theirs. And something that Gandhi said, which I love, and it's so simple but so true, which is connected to that, is that greatness is not about changing the world. Greatness is about changing yourself. And if we do make that change within, and we do understand about shining our light, which means we have to get rid of any feelings of guilt, any feelings of, well, we're not worthy to shine our light, we don't deserve it, we don't, these are all the questions we have which stops us shining our light. If we get rid of all that and we do shine our light, then all those around us, it'll encourage them to shine their light. And that's how we can change the world. That's how we can do it, just by looking in ourselves.
Absolutely.
And this can go around the world.
That's what spreads and the evolution,
it does.
the real evolution.
It does. And that's helped my painting a lot. It's really helped. So, yeah.
We are talking about how to make children a global citizen in today's day and age. How can teachers help, and how can art help in doing that?
I think we're all global citizens anyway, because that's the way the world's going. Whether that's a good thing or not, I'm not sure. But I think what is important is to understand how to be a good global citizen. That's the key. And what does that mean? It's about treating the king and the janitor the same. That means more than you at first think, because a lot of us say that, and yes, I do that, but very few of us really do that. Because would we do the same thing for the janitor who cleans the loo as we would when we meet the King of England, or when there isn't one, but the Queen of England? Would we behave the same? Would we do the same? No, very few of us would. So to really do that, and to know inside that you would, you'd give the same smile, the same warmth, the same place of your heart you'd give to those two individuals in exactly the same way. Because there is no, in my opinion, there is no man or woman greater than any other. There is no individual greatness. There's no such thing. I don't believe that we can achieve anything great as an individual. We only achieve greatness when all those around us, we are helping everyone achieve greatness, everyone achieve love, everyone achieve a form of peace. When there's a smile on every man's face, can we really smile? So that's our responsibility, is to understand it's not the individual who is great. Greatness comes collectively as humanity. And we can be great together, sure, but not as individuals.
And we should be. I mean, that should be the ultimate aim for every
Absolutely.
human.
I think now we need to be, because if we don't...
And in today's day and age, we need to be way more conscious than we were.
We really do. Because if we're not, our world as we know it will crumble. I think we're all beginning to realize.
And you see that happening around us.
We're beginning to realize that. Because this very tentative thing that we're all hanging on at the moment, which is a very thin string, they're going to start snapping. And they're starting to around us, whether it's strings of humanity snapping, which they are. Things are crumbling a bit, and it's really important now more than ever. And education of these things is critical, which is why the Global Forum is, this is an important thing.
Last but not the least, art is becoming more and more an investment.
Yeah.
How do you think people are still buying it for emotional reasons, and do you think we'll be able to sustain that?
There's a big issue, generally. There's a bigger issue in the world, which we've touched on between us. But if art reflects the world, then there's a big issue in art. And the big issue is that it is becoming a commodity. it's always been a commodity, but we're more aware of that now, and we're fueling it more. And I think buying art for investment, I think, is a very, very sad thing to do. Because what you're doing is you're stripping away something that is magical, something that connects with the soul, and you're stripping away what that has, the beauty of that, and you're making it about money. And I think if you invest in art, you should invest in something beautiful that you believe in. You should invest in belief in the
something
artist.
you connect with, something
Yes.
that resonates with you.
Yes, and the artist's intentions. You have to believe that they had pure intentions, that they have created something from a place of grace. And if they have, and you invest in that thing, and you bring that into your life, into your living space, that will pay you back far more than a few $100,000. But sadly, I don't think there's a huge amount of art out there at the moment that is detached from the monetary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As an artist, what does money mean to you?
It buys me time to create more. So I'll make some money, and I will use that to know that I don't have to earn anything for a year or 6 months, and I will put myself in the studio and I will create
Something that your soul wants to create.
Right, exactly.
And that's how you are here where you are today.
Maybe.
Well, you make us very proud, and it's so inspiring to just sit here and talk to you. There's so much to learn from you, apart from, just going through your art, which is very inspiring, but as a human, you're very inspiring, and I think that really reflects in your work.
Well, it's very kind of you.
Thank you for coming on the show, and it was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you, Ma. It's been a real pleasure.